So, in the 6th section of the 3rd chapter of the Chazon Ish here, he says the following: ואומנם תיקון הלב אין לו מזור זולת המעשים המתוקנים הנעשים בראשונה בכוח מכריח בהסכם קדום, וברוב המעשים הטובים הנעשים במלחמה ובאומץ נגד הרצון החופשי, מתהפך רצון הלב מרע לטוב, ובדרך זה הולך האדם וקונה את הטוב על ידי ההרגל להתגבר כפעם בפעם על התאווה החומרית ועל נטיות הנפשיות, ולעשות מעשה על פי הוראת השכל וחובת התורה. ולאט לאט הוא מתרגל אל הטוב בנטייה עצמית וחופשית. Translation: Indeed, the only way to correct the heart is to do correct deeds, making a definite resolution to do so. First step is to understand theoretical tshuva does not work. Many people that I've met have done theoretical tshuva. So what do? They decide to become hermits, stay in their house. They don't want to work anymore. They don't want to socialize anymore. They don't want to go anywhere anymore. But they want to watch lectures from morning to night and claim themselves to be the most morally righteous person on planet Earth. Why? Because, hey, look, I'm not sinning. I'm not violating Shabbat anymore. I'm not eating taref anymore. Everything that I order is kosher. I'm not lying to anyone. That's also because you're not talking to anyone. I'm not stealing from anyone. Well, it's also because you don't have a chance to. I'm not cheating on anyone. Yeah, it's because you're still single in your mother's basement. You're not married. But they don't look at the reality. Why? Because they think that they are righteous because they're not making any sins. That's not what the Chazon Ish is saying here. Chazon Ish says, in order for you to do real tshuva, to correct your heart, and to correct your deeds, you have to make a decision to do so. What does it mean, a decision to do so? You have to go back to society at one point, after you've read these books, after you've watched the lectures, and realize that Torah is for you to use inside the world. I'm not saying go back to the nightclubs and to the malls and to the movies, chas v'shalom. That's not what I'm saying. But to go back to society, you can go to the store and buy groceries. You can go and get a regular job. You can go and, deal with the world. You don't have to necessarily become a hermit. Now, I've told you guys myself, I don't generally leave the house. But that's also because my life is this way. I don't have a need to. I don't need to go to the mall. I have Amazon. I don't need to go to the grocery store. We order everything online. I don't need to do a lot of things. My work is me giving lectures. When I need to travel to New York, to Los Angeles, to wherever, I will. But generally speaking, I don't have a need to go elsewhere. But that doesn't mean that everybody needs to have the same type of life. If you're a jeweler, if you're a builder, if you're a engineer, you have to go somewhere to do something. And even if you don't, you should deal with society. I deal with society almost 24 hours a day. I deal with hundreds and hundreds of questions every single day, i.e. the reason why I don't necessarily need to have any more friends or anything else, because I'm dealing with people all the time. But many times people think that just because they're staying home, watching lectures all day, that's making them more righteous. It's wrong. That's not the way to do tshuva. Doing tshuva is to have a game plan of how to utilize everything you have learned and to apply it to the real world. Use that Torah in the real world, in your job, in your social, in your marriage, and everything else. So the Chazon Ish says that you have to have a game plan for this. You have to correct your heart and your deeds by taking some type of action. When many good deeds are done, as one battles courageously against the free natural will, the heart's desire changes from bad to good. Here is one of the critical pieces of instructions we have today. He's telling us that it is impossible for us to really complete our tshuva without actually taking action, without getting ourselves out of our little cave and applying it into the world. It's very easy to be righteous and modest when you're the only one in your house. Sometimes guys tell me, oh, listen, Gabbai, I never take off my tzitzit. I say, Chazak u'Baruch. Then I see them one day, and they're not even wearing tzitzit. I said, what happened? I thought you wear tzitzit all the time. Oh no, yeah, when I'm home. When I'm home, I wear tzitzit. I said, wait, so you're embarrassed of being Jewish? It's better off you don't wear tzitzit at all then. No, you know what I mean. No, people are not ready for me to be religious. Ready for you? Who cares? Why the whole world cares so much about you wearing tzitzit that you're a faker. You're a faker. That's simple, bottom line. Or sometimes you see people that, dress a certain way when they're in one place, dress a completely different way when they're in a different place. There's no need to be a faker. Why? Because that momentary fakeness is what's ruining your tshuva. And the Chazon Ish is telling us that if you courageously fight against that yetzer hara that you have, that natural will that you have to do the opposite of what's good, what's going to end up happening is that eventually your heart will start desiring the good instead of the bad. Meaning, eventually your heart will want to be even more modest. Eventually your heart will want to pray even longer. Eventually your heart will want to learn Torah even more. Eventually your heart will want to give even more tzedakah. One of the amazing things that we learn from the Rambam, he says, how do you help somebody that's stingy? Stingy. Somebody's cheap. Now that's a very sick sickness. To be stingy is a very, very terrible disease. First and foremost, the Gemara says that Kadosh Baruch Hu hates that person. It's not really on a good list. That's number one. Why? It's the opposite of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu only gives. This person is cheap. Doesn't even want to give to his wife. Doesn't want to even give to his kids. It's a very sick person. Second of all, is that this person has a disease that's technically killing himself. Why? Because sometimes this person will not want to seek medicine, will not want to seek the best doctor, will not want to seek the best treatment. Why? He doesn't want to spend the money. Yeah, but the best doctor to help you is in Israel. You live in America. You have to take a plane. You have to do this. No, come on, I don't need I'll just pray to Hashem and He'll help me. Why, you're that much of a Baal Emunah, you became Moshe Rabbeinu overnight. You just started keeping Shabbat 3 months ago. You're already that level of Emunah, Hashem's going to heal you. It's not because of that. He doesn't want to spend the money. Oh, isn't your anniversary, your wife, maybe you should get her something nice? I got her something nice. Oh, really? What'd you get her? I don't know, last year I got her something. I think I took her to a show. Last year. This year's a new anniversary. This year's a new birthday. This year's a new excuse to buy her a new present. Yeah, and listen, she knows I care. Yeah, but you just told me you just made $500,000 in the stock market. You have money. It's not that you don't have money. Cheap. It's a very sick disease. Very, very sick disease. People like that literally kill themselves, kill the people around them. So the Rambam was not only the biggest posek in the last 1,000 years, not only the one that practically the entire Shulchan Aruch is based on, not only was a doctor, a philosopher, everything you could possibly imagine. Even the Goyim consider him one of the 18 most influential people in all of history. Even the Goyim understood what the Rambam was. He says to fix a cheap person, it's not an easy fix, but nonetheless, it's possible. What is it? Get the guy to commit to giving something, X amount of money. Let's say he's not willing to donate $1,000 even though he has $1 million. He's not willing. What can you donate? Let's say you got the guy to say, I'll give 100. Okay, the 100, you're willing to give 100? Okay, instead of giving the 100 to one person, give $1 to 100 people. Now, the reality is, he's not going to help anybody. The homeless guy that gets $1 from you, you're not changing his life. I'm sorry to break the news to all those people that think they're generous because they give the local homeless guy $1 every day. He's not changing his life because of you. He's not paying rent. He's not buying shoes. He can't even buy a meal today for $1. But nonetheless, you're helping yourself. Why? It's actually helping your generosity that one day, hopefully, you've done it enough that you're going to start liking to give. And that's what the Rambam says. You take that $100 and you divide up to 100 and you give it to 100 people. And then you do it again and again and again. Eventually, he starts liking to give and Be'ezrat Hashem will start giving more normal amounts. Why? Because there's a spiritual benefit that he's getting each time he's giving, although it's very small. For someone that's not giving at all, it's significant. And over time, he can actually start giving more significant amounts. And the reality is there's a solution. But it's a solution that requires the person to help themselves. You can't help them. You can't give for them. You can't just go into their account and tell them after you give. That doesn't help them. That just makes them angry and perhaps even more stingy next time. So, the heart's desire changes from bad to good as a result of actions. And so a person can acquire good qualities by training himself to overcome his material desires and his emotional tendencies time after time, and by doing deeds in line with the intellect and the Torah obligations. Again, the Chazon Ish emphasizes that it's not just doing things that are in line with whatever you think, but rather what the Torah tells us, which we'll go over in a second. Gradually, he will become more accustomed to doing what is good, and it will become an inherent tendency. This is the best way to acquire good qualities, by training yourself. What does it mean by training yourself? If you remember last week, I gave you an example of the science research they had, where they took a bunch of people, where in one team they had people throw a basketball into a hoop, and then another group of people imagine they're throwing a basketball into a hoop. And after a week, they found out that the guys that were throwing an imaginary ball improved their shot more than the people that were throwing the actual ball. The reason was because they imagined themselves putting the ball in the hoop every single time and never missing. Whereas the other guys obviously were missing because that was more like reality. The point being is that either way, you have to train. Whether you're throwing an imaginary ball or you're throwing a real ball, you have to train. So what does that mean, train? Every single time that you know that you're going to encounter some type of obstacle. Many times, you don't know you're going to encounter certain obstacles, but there are many times, at least just as many, you know you're going to encounter certain obstacles. For example, you're about to have a conversation with somebody that perhaps you don't get along with so well. Someone that's pushy, someone that's arrogant, someone that is this or that, someone you simply don't like, someone you love, someone you want to get married to. Point being is, it's someone that you're not so comfortable with. If you want to increase your success in that conversation, take a mirror, stare at it, and start talking to it. Practice. Practice talking to it. Look at yourself talking and hear yourself talking, and you'll see whether you sound as good as you think you sound or you sound stupid. Many times you'll find out that you don't sound as good as you thought you sound. Now, if you're in a sales business, for example, one of the best things you can do is you can record yourself. Because many times, if you're not a trained salesperson, you sound much better in your mind than you do in your mouth. So you have a thought, yeah, I'm going to call Mr. Jones, I'm going to tell him this, I'm going to do this, he's going to buy this, he's going to buy that. Hey, Mr. Jones, yeah, how are you? Listen, I wanted to click. Whoa, I guess must be something wrong, Mr. Jones. No, something about you. But you're not clocking it because you think that you said everything right. So what you have to do, record yourself. Take a few of your phone calls or a few of your conversations or just simple practice conversations. Record yourself and listen to yourself. Talk and start micro-analyzing yourself and how you sound and also how you would want somebody that's selling you something to sound if you are on the other end. Meaning empathize, be on the other side of the shoes. This is one of the ways you can train yourself in sales, in conversations. What about in mitzvot? What about in mitzvot? Same exact thing. If you are struggling when it comes to prayer, the Ramban writes, and one of the things we learned in Igeret Ramban, is in order for your prayer to be even good, to be accepted, to be something that's worth anything, you have to prepare for the prayer, because we already know from the Gemara in Masechet Brachot that the Hasidim at the time of the Gemara used to meditate for 3 hours before they prayed. Meaning 3 times a day they meditated for 3 hours. 9 hours a day they're meditating just to prepare for prayer and to go down from the prayer. Now no one's asking you to do 9 hours of Itbodedut. But the point being is that what were they doing? Teshuva. Teshuva. thinking about, okay, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, whatever o'clock in the morning, I'm about to talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What do I have to tell him? Well, of course, I can just tell him what's in a siddur. But in reality, while I'm reading, I'm not always thinking about what's written. What else am I thinking about? Am I thinking about my bank account? Am I thinking about my wife, my husband, my kids, my health, my teeth, my shirt, my this, my that? What about those things? Let me think. Do I deserve those things? Well, let's see. What mitzvot did I do yesterday? What kind of generosity did I express yesterday? Where did my eyes look yesterday? What did I spend my extra time on yesterday? Because it's just the morning, so how many sins could you have possibly made that morning? You have to review the previous night. So you start saying, oh, you know what? Maybe, I guess, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is right that I have a backache. Because yesterday, instead of going to Shiur Torah, I went to play basketball. So, why would Hashem give me a good back? I didn't go to Shiur Torah. And maybe Hashem is kind of right. I don't have that much money in the bank because technically, instead of giving tzedakah, I put 5,000 on a horse. I won, but I'm pretty sure Hashem is not really happy with me putting 5,000 on a horse called Black. Probably not. It's not in the Chumash anywhere. Black is not one of the members of the 12 tribes. So, probably not a good reason for Hashem to give me better job. On the other hand, wife, I guess Hashem is not really so happy about giving me a wife because, all I do is go to clubs I'm not supposed to, look at things I'm not supposed to, and probably if I had a wife, she'd probably divorce me anyway. And you start analyzing your action, you start realizing, well, you know what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, today I'm not really going to ask you for anything. Today I'm just going to say I'm sorry. Already you started on the right foot. Why? You're being realistic with yourself. You're being realistic with yourself. Second prayer of the day, you only analyze what happened in the last few hours from the first prayer to the second prayer. You do tshuva again. That's your practice. You're practicing for the prayer. You're analyzing what's happening. What am I going to tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu? I'm about to meet him. What am I going to tell him? Now, if you don't believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there when you pray, why are you praying? If HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in Cancun on vacation, if he's in Greece somewhere, if he's in planet Pluto, why are you praying? Which means that if you're praying, you have to have emunah and bitachon to some extent that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there. And if he's there, you have to think about what you're going to tell him. Meaning, you have to practice. You have to practice a little bit. Think about what you're going to do. Now, this is much easier said than done, but nonetheless, if you try it, you'll see you'll become more accustomed to it, and it'll become easier for you. At least to do it once a day. Maybe not all 3 times a day, but at least once a day. And if not once a day, once every few days. And if not once every few days, at least once a week. Do something like this, and you'll see that those prayers are drastically better than the others. Think about it. When was the last time you started crying in the middle of mincha? HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, all of the gates can be closed, but the gates of tears are never closed. Meaning that the cry to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a good thing. Now, how many of us really cry? Not many. We cry about our problems, but we're not really crying during our prayers. So think about it. What if I got myself to a point where I got so close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu before the prayer, and during the prayer I started crying in mincha? Not mincha of Yom Kippur. Mincha on Tuesday. Start crying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's a good prayer. Why? Most likely HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to answer that prayer. Now, how do you get to that? You have to practice. Same thing. You're about to give a shiur. You're about to learn a shiur. You're about to learn with somebody. You're about to do anything. Any mitzvah you're going to do, start practicing. Sometimes that practice is mental. Sometimes that practice is you have to do something, take some type of action. But the point being is, you have to do something about it. This is also one of the main things that I keep telling to people for years. People always ask me, how do I improve my memory? How do I remember everything? I always tell people, if you're going to watch shiurim and not write notes, it's like you didn't watch it. Why? Most of what you're going to learn, you're going to forget. Most of what you're going to learn on a shiur, you're going to forget. 1 or 2 things are going to stand out, but only for a temporary amount of time. Eventually, they're going to go back to your subconscious, to the back of your memory, and maybe come up once in a blue moon. If you want to have things here, you want to remember them closely, you have to put pen to paper. You have to write them down. And I recommend writing them down with pen and paper versus typing them on a iPad, even though, or some type of phone, because there is more of a physical connection when you're actually handwriting something. I know that today's generation, it's very hard for people to use a pen. It's become almost like an obsolete thing, but they still sell them in stores. I checked, I just bought a few. They still sell pens, and it's about the same price. You could buy a pen. They also sell notebooks. You know, it's those things that are books with paper in it that comes from trees. You could use those. You could write the paper, and believe it or not, it still works. Use it, write the notes. All kidding aside, you'll see that your memory will improve. Why? You've now heard something, wrote something, meaning you've used your sense of touch, and you also saw it, because now you're seeing what you're writing, meaning you've used multiple senses. Multiple senses, it's like you've reviewed the same thing multiple times. Multiple times. But you'll see sometimes people watch Shiurim 15 years. The guy's still a behemah. Still the same animal that he came into the zoo. Nothing has changed. What happened? You listen to any rabbis? Yeah, I listen to all the rabbis. Which rabbis? He names you all the best ones. Wow, you have your hard of hearing? No, hear perfectly. What's the matter? What's going on? You'll see many times because they're watching the lectures like it's a movie. They're watching, it's entertainment, it's no different than news. No one remembers the news. No one remembers the Shiur Torah either. Why? You're not writing it down. You want to commit it to memory? You have to write it down. Why? This is part of your practice.